I can't see me.
All right, guys, y'all are on film. Oh, golly, I can't keep that up. There we go. So don't say anything inappropriate, huh? Just kidding. Yeah. All right.
So, yeah. With respect to the car show, I'm sorry, I'd love to.
Darn, I was hoping you'd
Where
be a very
are
good.
you going to have it?
It's going to be at the American Bank Center, both of the exhibit halls.
Oh.
And it should be a big deal. We're excited about it.
I am sick. Well, maybe we'll cancel.
Maybe I'll double check what day it is too. But should be cool. I'm gonna write down all those. Oops. You ready? You gonna put on your
Oh yeah.
Chad, you wanna put on your headphones? All right. Hello, my friends. You are listening to the Bad Blonde Radio Show on News Talk KEYS 1440 AM and 98.7 FM, brought to you by Competition Sounds. Thanks, Competition Sounds. And today is a very good day. In the studio, I have my co-host Chad Shook, and I have my friend, my mentor, car enthusiast extraordinaire, George Finley, and he's here. We are on part 3 of the Apollo, the most beautiful sports car you've never heard of. And this part should be interesting because we're going to be talking about the fall of International Motor Cars.
This is the trilogy.
Yes. Well, also, we're going to ask George to just pop on like every other month or whenever he wants to so we can talk about different cars like his 1941 Lincoln and his experience and background with the Mark II.
Yes.
One of
indeed.
Ford's most expensive cars, yeah.
Lincoln Continental Mark II actually was not a Lincoln. It was a Continental Mark II, and Ford Motor Company decided, one of the Ford boys decided, William Clay Ford, who also owned the Detroit Lions. William Clay decided that he wanted to resurrect the Lincoln Continental. So he started from scratch and designed probably the most beautiful car of the 50s.
It's timeless.
Oh.
The Mark II is timeless. Like 100%.
There we go. I'm not going to get off on that.
I was funny. I was about to say, here we are already digressing, but it's a very good topic. And that's why it's so easy to do that. We need to have like an entire show that talks about the Mark II for sure.
Well, I mean, I think that it's a very significant automobile. But back to the Apollo.
I was going to say, should I recap or do you want to recap?
No, go, please.
Okay, guys. All right. Now, if you're by your computer, then do yourself a favor. Get onto Google and Google Apollo GT 3500 or GT 5000. All right. Now, this is one of the most beautiful sports cars you've never heard of. Okay. This was created at the time while Carroll Shelby was over there making the Cobra. And what it was the American solution to all the foreign imports of the day, the 1960s solution. It had an Italian body done in Turin, Italy by Intermeccanica, beautiful handmade work, and even better, it was powered by an all-aluminum Buick V8. So you had beauty and actually reliability, which was not common in sports cars.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, if you had a Jaguar, MG, even a Ferrari, you couldn't really safely drive very far.
You were getting stuck on the road.
Yeah.
So George, this is where one of my favorite parts of the story. George decides he has a background. He's he's at Ford Motor Company. They have put a lot. They have what was the program that you went through?
It was called the College Graduate Training Program. It was modeled after the Whiz Kids, which was done in the 50s and 60s with a group of...
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, mostly MBA graduates from colleges from around the country. I was one of 32.
And at the time, what you would say an extremely secure and good job.
Oh, yeah. Ford Motor, the best.
Yeah, exactly. So what George does is he ends up popping a few beers with, was it Frank Reisner's father?
No, actually, I was drinking a few beers with Ron Plush's dad.
There it is. And he finds out about the Apollo. He sees this beautiful drawing, and I just feel like I should let you take it from here, George.
Well, okay.
you're the best storyteller in the studio right now.
We're a long way from the end.
I no, but we gotta recap everybody, and then we can go to the fall of International Motor Car Company, right?
Yeah. Well, so anyway, so Mr. Plush and I, by the way, one of the reasons I was not too excited about sticking with Ford Motor Company, we'd spent almost 4 months in Detroit in not totally a classroom environment, because we were in the factories, we were, in all the design studios, the whole shot as part of our training program. But we were working in an educational environment 6 days a week for almost 4 months. And of course, obviously, those of us who were married left our wives at home, because it was
that was the time.
Yeah, by the way, there were no women in the college grade.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the time period.
So
Things have
sorry.
changed greatly. It's okay.
So you spent all that time there studying, training, everything, and they made you a glorified chauffeur, kind of.
Exactly. Well, when I got back to the district office, I was assigned to parking the executive Lincoln Continentals in this big
Not a
garage.
bad gig, though, I might say.
Well, no, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you can't really complain too much, except wanting more. But.
I aspired to make a few more dollars, right? And
Exactly.
I knew driving the old Lincoln over to the garage was not the place to be.
Yeah.
So anyhow, the cars were parked in this probably 12-story or 10-story high-rise parking garage in downtown Oakland, California. And the garage was owned by Mr. Ron Plush's father. Ron was the designer of the Apollo. Anyhow, and so I'm sitting with Mr. Plush on a Friday night, right? Friday afternoon maybe, but nonetheless. And I brought a 12-pack or whatever, larger perhaps, into his office, because we'd celebrate on Friday. It was the end of the week. And all of these fabulous designs were around Mr. Plush's office, and several were of the Apollo, the renderings of the car.
Naturally, you needed to know about it.
Oh my God. Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's what brought us together. And he then introduced me to his son Ron, and to Milt Brown, who was the real brains behind the entire Apollo venture. Was really Milt's concept. Milt had built sports car racing cars, formulas, small ones they call the Apache. I think I mentioned that earlier. But anyway, he conceived of this hybrid vis-a-vis Italian body, American engine, right?
Smart. Yeah.
And the design, the build, the quality of a hand-built Italian car, coupled with a reliable American drivetrain. And about the time he was dreaming of this, Buick introduced their aluminum block, aluminum head engine, which was, although small displacement, 3.5 liters, very powerful horsepower to weight ratio. And
Nice.
so it just, with Borg Warner T10 4-speed behind it, which was, used in a Corvette. Very good transmission. And so the whole thing came together. They stumbled, I've told you earlier, because they couldn't market the car successfully.
Yeah. Well, like you said, the gentleman that was, the CFO or the president just was underselling it.
Well, Ned Davis, God rest his soul, really a nice guy, but totally out of his own. He was kind of like a motor scooter type guy, right?
Yeah.
Not even a motorcycle type guy.
And you went to him repeatedly and said, we need to sell this handmade car for more money.
Absolutely.
You literally had a conversation with the head of Mattel, right?
Well, yeah.
The president of Mattel said, you can't sell this handmade, beautiful sports car for the price you're selling, because everybody will have one.
Yeah, well, that coupled with the fact, literally, he was ready to order the car.
Yeah.
And he said, what will it cost me to build this car for me and his beautiful wife, Ruth? And I said, about $6,800 or something like that. And he leaned back in his chair and said, what? $6,800 for that car? I said, yes, sir, Mr. Adler, $6,800, thereabouts. Oh, he said, no, that's way too cheap.
Yeah, even now, thinking about $6,800, which back then was a lot more than it is now, of course, but that seems very low,
Yeah.
It does seem like
yeah.
a budget bargain price.
Yeah.
Well, now I will, in deference to Ned Davis's logic, there was logic for his price point. He wanted to be into the market. It was just totally baseless in terms of marketing and cost per unit, etc. But he wanted to be in the market at a price point just above a Jag XKE, right? Which had come out in 1961, as I recall. And so, I mean, that's not a bad concept, but a Jaguar is a mass-produced vehicle.
Yeah.
And they, as Chad knows, they build a lot of them, right? some good, some better than
I
others.
think Chad's currently working on like 2 at the same time.
Exactly, right. And so, you know, he was wrong because they were afraid to go to market with a price tag that represented the quality of a hand-built automobile, custom built for, say, Chad, if you wanted one, we'd do anything you want for it. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we always used the Buick engines, and we did offer an automatic transmission option. And I've told you the story about the doctor from Modesto that had only one leg.
Yeah.
And
he
he said,
don't you know where that machine, that car is?
Still there.
Wow.
Still in the family.
Tell the story. So this.
Well, so anyway, this wonderful doc drives up with his son in a big Buick and comes out, gets out of the car, and you know, he's got one leg, he's got a prosthesis, but you know,
Yeah.
he's really been injured, and he was injured in World War II. So anyway, he said, he said, this is the most beautiful car I've ever seen. And we'd had an article in a Road and Track. It was a very, very positive article review.
Denise McClung's.
No, that was not. This was. Oh, sorry, Chad. I can't remember John Bond. You made that. He was the editor.
Does anybody have copies of that still?
Yeah, we've got them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've got them.
I haven't seen that. That's so cool.
Well, you never come in except to park your cars in the museum.
I haven't perused the library at the museum, I guess.
Yeah, up the second deck, we have, within that building or that office upstairs, we have the entire history of the Apollo. All the records from when we manufactured the car.
Holy smokes.
Each one, production, why, and who had it, if it was sold, etc.
Yeah.
So we acquired those from the estate of Ned Davis.
Cool.
So anyway, we've got them, and you're welcome.
Oh, I will. I know. I mean, I know where the books are. I just guess I haven't gone up there and adventured in them.
Well, but the fact is, the doctor came down to Oakland from Modesto to see the car, not thinking that we could build him a car that he could drive with only one leg, right? So what did we do? We put a Buick automatic transmission behind the little V8 engine, moved the pedals around so that his left leg was there.
Yeah.
Right was gone. So we switched accelerator to this, and then we had only the brake, of course.
And did you say this was the only automatic Apollo ever?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's still in his family?
Yes.
That is the coolest.
Yeah, and you know, Mr. Handler, who obviously was a fairly smart guy as the founder of Mattel Toys.
Yeah.
It wasn't really Barbie and what was his brother?
Kenny.
It wasn't really Barbie and Kenny that made the deal. It was Elliot and Ruth, who were really smart people.
How awesome.
But I mean his judgment about the car.
Yeah.
And the value and then the price, it made total sense to me. It made sense to me when I joined him. I said, I think the car's priced too low.
Yeah.
Right? How many times have you ever heard a salesman say the product's priced too low? Right?
I've never. And
never.
You would just think that would have, if just to think of if the car had ended up being priced higher, if Ned Davis had changed his mind on that.
Where would we be?
Where would it, International Motor Cars would still be here probably.
Possibility, I would say there's a high degree of likelihood I probably wouldn't have sobered up.
Well, that's a good point. Hayden's giving me the wrap it up time. We almost went over our 15 minutes. All right, guys, stay tuned. We're going to take a little break, and then we will be back talking all about the fall of International Motor Car Company. It hurts to say fall, doesn't it? It was getting hot in here. I was like, I got to turn that.
Oh, no, hot.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Hey, Hayden, I'm going to keep this door open. He was just not paying attention. So I was noticing, I was like, we're already like a little bit past our time. Is your thing up that loud? You're gonna blind yourself.
Is that me?
No, it's Chad. He's gonna.
You guys are probably gonna only have probably like 8 or 9 minutes this next segment.
I thought, hey, can I leave this open? It's really hot in
That's
here.
so
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or do you
yeah.
have AC controls for this?
Oh no.
I don't think there is one vent up in here.
I'll talk to Doug about that after the show.
Cool.
Do you ever see Hope?
I don't think-
Very, very rare. I see like once a year.
At the Christmas party?
Yeah, basically.
Isn't she's up in Austin or San Antonio?
She lives in North Carolina.
Oh, snap!
They're from San Antonio. The Melton family. They had a huge, big radio station.
Wow. Cool. This is on, but yeah. Wow. Very cool.
Really nice lady too.
Cool. I haven't met her yet either, but I've
So
heard from about
who's their sales manager now? GM? You know, this is the same
here.
guy?
It's the same guy. Yeah.
You like him?
The videos.
Yeah, good guy.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Indeed. So, I forgot. Like I meant to email Josh Bagley yesterday, but I just emailed him as we were starting. I was like, oops.
Is he in San Francisco?
I think he's in Boston, right?
Oh,
do you think that?
but he's from, his
Yeah.
car's in California.
It's confusing. Like he
Yeah.
might be working in Boston, but he's in California. But I meant to contact him last night, and then I just emailed him today. So who knows? Maybe around 10:45, we'll get a phone call.
Do you ever get a phone call?
I usually encourage texting because I don't know what people are going to say
I think
online.
that's
I always
good.
feel like somebody, because I'm a girl, somebody's going to try and be like,
Uh-huh.
but this time we will. Oh look, we got a message. Okay. Hi y'all. If you have a chance, even if off air, please ask your wonderful guest George Finley if he knew Charlie O. Finley, celebrated owner of the Oakland A's pro baseball team. Both Finleys involved in things in Oakland, California back in the day. Did you know him?
He's Chicago though. Actually, he's a Chicago guy.
Oh really?
Yeah,
What are the odds?
but that's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was stuck on the polish.
I know, right? You put your ears on. Put your ears on. All right. Hello, my friends. You are back listening to the Bad Blonde Radio Show on News Talk KEYS, 1440 AM and 98.7 FM, Corpus Christi, Texas. Brought to you by Competition Sounds. Thanks, Competition Sounds. And we are talking to George Finley all about the Apollo, the AKA Ferrari killer. The American Ferrari killer, too. And where we're at, we've discussed how he jumped from Ford to this startup International Motor Car company, how the Apollo was a hit in the head of Mattel. The president of Mattel told George to his face that the Apollo is just too low priced. And it's handmade. He said, everybody's going to have it. You need to price this handmade beauty for more, or he's going to see it all around the California highways. Now, that's where we are. And now, should we try? I feel like we might digress a time or two, but should we try to get to
The end of the story.
Yeah. It's hard for us though, guys. Like we almost spent that first 15 minutes talking about the Mark II.
Yeah, that's true, right.
There's so many paths and so
I
many
know.
stories, so it's difficult. But
And
we'll just flow with how it goes.
intertwining too.
Yeah.
You can really
You
it's
could
very easy to digress.
Literally spend hours, which we've spent a couple, but we could spend a lot
Yeah.
more just discussing.
This is our
this
third
good
hour.
story.
Not only that,
Yeah.
the three of us, plus additional members of our families, all
Yeah.
ended up in Monterey, California, a few years ago. Actually,
AKA the best week of my life.
AK was without a doubt the most extraordinary car experience I've ever had.
Me too.
It was amazing.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was amazing.
Guys, just so you know, we all George sent off George. You had a big part. This was the 50th anniversary
Right.
of the Apollo. 6 cars were sent out to California. At one point in time, all of us were kind of put in a car, and we had our co-pilot. And a lot of these, all of them were air cooled. all of them were air cooled. And to drive through Monterey and Pebble Beach traffic, we just basically couldn't stop our cars. And we like disintegrated like marbles. It was kind of like the movie Speed, but with classic cars and Finley and Shooks. Like it was so fun.
There was some water cooled.
Was there? What? Was it the Ferrari?
Oh yeah, I think your mother had the 308 GT4 Ferrari.
That was her living her best week
I mean,
too.
and it's got air. It had air conditioning. I don't know that car ever really figured out how to turn it on, but nonetheless, the car has good air.
I was her navigator and photographer, and she had a huge smile on her face the whole time going down.
That was the best week.
It was
oh
really
my god,
beautiful.
unbelievable.
Now, the purpose of that was we were invited by the Concorso Italiano, which is a big concourse that's held in the Monterey area during the Pebble Beach, the car week. You know, the greatest car week in the United States, maybe in the world.
I would go in the world.
Yeah, the Pebble Beach Concourse is you guys got to go, right?
Oh, yes. I've got, I didn't go that week.
You got my ticket.
No, I think Laura did. See, I actually had to go back to work in Arkansas.
Seth did, I think. Me and Seth stole y'all's tickets.
I didn't get to go at 316.
And it was amazing.
Now, did you take Buck, my grandson?
I don't know if Buck went with us to Pebble Beach or not.
No, he was with us. He played poker with you guys.
Well, I know, but I remember.
But he went to the concourse, didn't he, with you guys? I hope.
Did he? I can't remember.
You probably dropped the kid off because you took his ticket.
I can't.
Buck's a great kid. Yeah, he's a grown man now, though. But
well, we had 3 Apollos. Really, a matter of interest, there were 18 Apollos on display celebrating the 50th anniversary of the first production car at the concourse.
And for those of you listening, only 82 were ever produced, and maybe half of that in existence.
88, about 44 are known.
Wow.
To exist somewhere.
So that was a big gathering of Apollos.
Yeah, let me tell you a quick one.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so this is just within the last 3 or 4 years. I get a call from this guy in the Dallas area, right? And he said, George, I've done a lot of research, and you had something to do with that Apollo, right? Yeah, I did.
A lot to do?
He said, well, he said, I just bought one. Oh, really? Yeah, well, how did that happen? Well, he said, I was bidding on the content. They had a big auction in a mini storage facility, and they were cutting the chains on the mini storage units that the customer had not paid for, right? So over a certain period of time, you just open it up and auction it off. So I bought the contents of this one unit, had boxes and all, you couldn't see to the end of I walk in there and there's an Apollo Spider.
Oh my gosh.
Sitting there, unbuilt. I mean, the body, of course.
And only 4 of the Spiders were ever made, right?
8.
Oh, 8?
8.
Okay.
This was, we didn't know about this guy in the mini storage, but it was, and he said, you already paid for the contents, everything inside the mini storage building?
Oh my God, how much?
$200.
Good Lord.
200.
Better than a lot of people's dirty underwear and old TVs, non-working TVs.
Oh my gosh.
People's store. Wow, what a story. What a find.
To think, because just recently the #1 Apollo Spider that you own, George, sold for $500,000, right? It was 500 what?
510.
510,000.
Whoa. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was before, that was after the phone call.
Yeah.
He did not know, I don't know. Of course, I said, we'll restore the car. We have restored. Chad helped restore the #1 coupe, right? Which we still have.
Yeah.
Which was at the Concorso with our blue Spider and another red coupe. Anyway, so where are we?
I know, it's too easy. Okay, so we're talking about the Concorso Italiano, but once we're done, we're going to loop back in. We're going to get back on the path of International Motor, like the final moments.
Well, the assemblage of 19 Apollos, including the prototype, which you guys had never probably even seen a photograph of. It was really kind of a neat looking car. And my memory of it was not a neat looking car, but sitting there on the green at the...
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't as refined.
You
could kind of see it, and then, I don't know the color. Who decided on that color? It was kind of weird maroony.
Yeah. I think...
It was a unique color. And on that note, I can hear the music, which must mean we've already talked past our allotted time. So guys, stay tuned. We're going to come right back. All right. That was the best week ever.
That was a great.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And the
Buck and
Just
you
the-
and the spider, everybody else. Like Callie and I were, I think, in the. I don't
You were the
remember.
Cadillac, the 38
Cadillac.
restaurant
That was pretty
with
dope.
air.
Yeah,
this-
we were lucky
the
on that one.
scary Cadillac.
Who do you say we're supposed to call him again?
Josh Bagley.
Josh Bagley.
He
Okay.
might.
He might. Okay.
He
so
hasn't
it's
replied to
something
my
called-
email, but
Okay, no problem. Josh Bagley.
The scary Cadillac. We were driving down the highway and I was trying to roll down a window or something, and it's all push button, but you don't really know the button.
you do
But I
not.
was like, I think it's this one, or like the door trying to
Door.
open.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But it was like the rear suicide or
Yeah,
something.
right.
So I was like,
Oh dear God.
No, everything in
It
the
didn't
car was
flop.
electronic. The trunk,
I-
the hood, everything.
I remember, and it's funny that you say it's the scary Cadillac, because it was the scary Cadillac when I was a kid. When I was going to detail it, you know, it was parked close to the wall, and it's like you have this button, and you just trying to, you just
and
want
it
to.
starts.
Yeah,
instead
yeah.
of-
Started.
It starts up, or the back pops open, and there's the wall there. You know, all those at the museum. I would just be like, okay, I just need to open the door.
Did y'all sell that?
Unfortunately, I did. Yeah, I went to Canada. Remember the Chrysler 300, the Chrysler,
Yeah.
two Chryslers, the 300B and the C300, 55, 56 300s. The same guy from Canada bought those two, plus the Caddy, plus two others. He bought 5 cars.
It's okay, George. You've already kind of
Yeah.
flushed
That
in
Cadillac-
some more ones.
Yeah.
You've already got a few more that to
The
to
push
take
button was just, I mean, once you got
It was
to
cool,
know
but
it,
yeah, a
it
little
was,
nerve wracking.
but that car was cool.
Yeah, it was cush.
The one that's the coolest, they're called resto mods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're modified, restored and modified
Yeah.
with modern drivetrain and so forth. That's the coolest resto mod I've ever seen or had or
Yeah.
been in. I mean, it's just fabulous.
It was. I mean,
And that guy picked us up, the owner.
Where?
Steve and I fly to to Phoenix, right? And the guy says, meet us out in the luggage area. Just walk out when you're there. We walk outside. It's 112 degrees in Phoenix, July, I think. And we
Hey.
look, here comes a car, the ramp, this black Caddy. Just rumbling, boom, boom, boom. You know, it had a great exhaust sound. And your dad and I just went. And they hit the button, the back door opened.
Oh boy.
And they said,
Get on
"Yeah,
in.
get in, front and rear air conditioning.
Oh man, yeah.
And we close the door and they drive us to,
I think
Yeah,
we're good.
uh,
We'll have a little time.
okay. So they drive us to this guy's home in, right below Camelback Mountain in Scottsdale. And the home is
That's
enormous.
nice.
I mean,
That's a
it's got-
nice area.
Yeah, 2 acres of land.
Oh my God.
And at each end of this beautiful ranch house were garages. Big, I mean like big garages. 10, 12 car garages.
Holy moly.
So he hits the button, the door opens, we drive into the garage, he hits the button, the door closes. We get out of this fully air conditioned garage with a bunch of collector cars.
Wonderful.
I mean, you think that is
What a badass.
what a great selling deal that was, but we didn't buy it. We just said, it's too much money.
But then y'all came back around.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know that car will go 100 miles an hour because I towed it back at 100 miles an hour at some points.
Really?
Yeah.
So that car.
Well, I towed it. I picked it up.
Well, the Speedo was an 85 Max. Remember?
No, I towed it with the
Oh,
Dodge
did
going.
you?
That's when it went 100 coming back. Which I was young and like going. I was like, I was thinking about it later. Like, God, that was stupid. That's
That
a
was
lot of weight and going that fast. But it was, you were young. It was a quick trip. It was fun.
Where'd you bring it in from?
From Arizona.
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, we towed that back. I thought you bought 2 cars from him. That one and maybe the Ferrari. I don't remember.
I think you're right.
Because I picked up a Ferrari
Dino?
there. I think you bought 2. I think y'all bought the Cadillac and y'all bought another one.
Yeah.
And we got.
We're back.
All right. Well,
at
let's try to focus on
Yeah.
the story of the car. Well, I mean, whatever. But,
We'll try.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a good record of this.
no, it's just because it's a good story.
All right, my friends, you're back listening to the Bad Blonde Radio Show on News Talk KEYS, and our phone number, if you want to text in a question, is 882-5397. I'm always very proud of myself when I say our phone number right. This show is brought to you by Competition Sounds. Thanks a lot, Competition Sounds. And we've been talking about our ridiculously fun week in Monterey for the Monterey Car Week. We brought 3 Apollos. It was the 50th anniversary of the Apollo. Kind of a big deal. And
the Lamborghini, as you recall.
Oh, that's
it was
right.
the 50th anniversary of the Apollo and that lesser known car.
yeah.
Lamborghini, right?
Was it their 50th or a different number?
50
Really?
was
Wow.
both companies started in '63.
I do remember seeing there was a really wonderful Lamborghini tractor because that's their. Yeah, do you remember the guy? We became friends with him and his
Yeah,
wife.
it was the most extraordinary tractor I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
it's beautiful. I mean, like, yes, like. Anyways, Chad said we can't digress, and here we are talking about Lamborghini tractors.
Chad may want to come in. Not only did Ferruccio Lamborghini
Such a tough name to say.
manufacture tractors, but there's another great automobile that was manufactured by a guy in Britain that made tractors. Do you know who that was?
No,
Still in business. The company's still in business.
I do not know.
All right, I'll give you a hint.
I like this.
His name was David Brown.
Oh, like DB, Aston Martin.
You got it.
David Brown also did tractors?
Yeah, the David Brown Tractor Company was the largest tractor
Fabulous.
manufacturer in Great Britain, and they sold all over the.
Oh, that's
world,
good
actually.
stuff right there. I love that.
Interestingly enough, a lot of the older car manufacturers were into agriculture
Oh, yeah.
implements, also Porsche and a lot
Oh,
of
really?
those, yeah.
Yeah, Porsche made a tractor,
Yeah.
right?
I think a lot of them back in that time period, I guess because of the offshoot, you're making engines, and some of them may even started making farm implements or whatever, and branched into automobile. But it is cool to have like a Lamborghini tractor, a Porsche tractor,
Oh,
show
100%.
up down at the county fair and go in and say, "Hey, what's up?"
That Porsche tractor, I've seen one at the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart, and then they're at the Brumos collection in Florida, and it's a good looking tractor.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I have seen your photographs.
Yeah, that was a pretty special trip.
It's the aerodynamics they put on the wings.
Yeah.
And
Before, on that same note, but a little bit different, like the start where automotive manufacturers start off somewhere else and then end up with vehicles that is the story of time. But the funniest one to me is that Pierce Arrow actually started by making Victorian bird cages before they moved on to be one of the most luxurious, the standard of luxury for early American automotives. Isn't that funny?
No, well, that's quite unique.
Right?
But I know you know this, but the the United States' largest buggy manufacturer ended up building cars until, do you know what company that is? They were the biggest.
Biggest buggy factory.
Biggest. Yeah, when horse-drawn carriage times.
Who?
Studebaker.
Oh man, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Son of a gun. All right, cool. And speaking of Studebaker, you got a brand new Studebaker, George.
Got a Skyhawk.
All right, I'm gonna have to get y'all back.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to point y'all back in direction. Now we're going into bird cages,
This is
and I do want to talk about the Studebaker. I do want us to.
Okay,
I think the Apollo story is really interesting.
we're gonna okay. Let's continue, George. All right, where we left off.
So anyway, ultimately, I went back. Of course, I went back to Oakland to report my lack of bringing an order in from Elliot and Ruth Handler, and with the story that he told me very clearly that you're a fool, in essence.
Yeah.
Not only was he worried about seeing a lot of Apollos in Southern California where he lived, because the price point was so low, he also said and underlined, this is really the point of fact, he said, George, you can't possibly make a profit on a hand-built automobile like this and sell it for less than $8,000. It's just not going to happen.
What do you think y'all's turnover was from order to delivery?
Well, we were probably, when we get to the final chapter, we had 4 months backlog of orders, which meant we were running 3.5 cars a month, production-wise. Okay, and so we had a good amount of orders in the tube, but
How were they financially at this time, and where were they getting their finances? Were they going through banks, or were they on borrowed money, basically?
Well, that's a great question, by the way. The reason that they were desperate to hire somebody to help market the car, and I said this in an earlier show, I believe, but one of the beauties of the car manufacturing world is that when the car is delivered to the dealer, you're paid.
That's nice.
It's almost like cash in advance, but it's cash on delivery, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I got to International Motor Cars, we had the prototype unsold, right? We had a demonstrator and 2 cars in the shop being assembled. Total 4 cars, right? All that money was, well, we had charge accounts. We were buying engines from the local Buick dealer at,
Cool.
not
Yeah.
retail, but
Yeah.
since you're in the car repair business, you know what kind
Yeah,
of discount. We got a
discount.
little discount from the local Buick dealer, but not a heck of a lot. So we had accounts payable. They were financing us, right? We had a little bank money, Bank of America. At that juncture, when I got there, I think they had loaned us $30,000 perhaps. And we had paid in capital from the original sale of stock, which the reason Ned Davis was the president of the company is he put the most money in. Yeah, I think he put 30,000,
Wow.
which in those days was, you buy a really nice house for
Yeah.
25,000.
Didn't he make that money off of selling a washateria that he had?
Yeah, he
I remember the washateria
right.
jokes you were
He
making.
said, hey, I'm a successful guy. I've run a business and sold it, made a lot of money, George. And I said, oh, really? Well, what kind of business was that? A car deal?
He
No.
put $30,000 in quarters in.
Oh, that was the sign.
Yeah.
Unreported income, you're saying? Well, we won't trip him to the IRS at this juncture.
Yeah.
He's in heaven anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the argument, some people are so bullheaded, and you're in this huge frenzy of, well, we need money, we need sales, we need, right? So Milt Brown, by the way, agreed with me. He said, look, if Finley, who's a sales guy, is telling us, Ned, that we need to raise the price.
No brainer.
I mean, my gosh, what's the problem?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I said, by the way, we'll do better in marketing the car if we kick it up to 12,000,
Oh boy.
which was what an Aston Martin DB6 was selling for, DB7 or whatever was, at that juncture in 63. And a Rolls Royce, the basic Rolls was 12.5, right? The Lincoln Continental Mark II was 10,850 with air, right?
Wow.
The Cadillac Eldorado Brome was 13,875 with everything.
The memory you have on you, George,
Everything
is
and the
impressive.
headaches.
Yeah. So anyway, so I lost the argument. I mean, the sales guys stayed to the management.
I can't help but think, but what if you had won that argument and what it would have been now? Like, it's hard not to go there mentally and think about that.
Part of the wrap up of the entire venture is the fact that Milt Brown was in Italy when the curtain fell on the company.
Wow.
And he was there with his wife and his son Christopher, finishing the design of the Apollo 2+2.
Oh, wow.
Which I think you've seen the picture of, right?
Didn't we try to win
We tried
one
to
on?
buy it.
We tried to buy it,
We tried
yeah.
to buy it on an auction. I think it was Bring a Trail.
It was Bring a Trail. I remember that was exciting for us.
And we made a mistake. We should have gone higher.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, after a fact, we found that, well, it was the one only prototype, and it was never built in production, but it was a beautifully built, and it was a very handsome automobile.
Yeah. It was.
After all this time, and you're still lowballing Apollos. you should have gone up and been like,
Oh my God, that's too
wait a
funny.
minute. Wait a
No,
minute.
I'm
I
just
think we
kidding.
did. I think we did all right at the auction. We established a world record.
Well, that's true. There is that. So what happened exactly? What did it look like, and what were the emotions, and what all happened when the curtain fell on International Motor Cars?
So you got to look back in time and know that in 1964 64, yeah, it was 65, that we had no cell phones, for example, that if you wanted to call in, you'd pull over and get on a payphone, right? And I happened to be in the Oakland area, kind of romancing this customer who was interested in buying a car, an Apollo, and her dad was she was at University of California, Berkeley, and her father was this extraordinarily successful producer, Hollywood producer guy, lots and lots of money. And so I called Ned Davis, because Milt, as I said, was in Italy, in Turin, Italy, working with Frank Reisner on the new car.
And when you're working on a new car, you really don't expect for the car company to go under, right? Surprise!
Well, I actually...
What?
You know how when the curtain descends on a show, it's over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do the accolades and raise the curtain for curtain call and so forth. But anyway, the reality is when it's just amazing that when it ends, like everything all over the world ends. I mean, Milt is in Turin, Italy, and goes by the American Express office to get his airline tickets verified for his wife Paula, then wife Paula, ex now, anyhow, and Christopher, and for himself to fly back to California. American Express said, your card has been canceled and the tickets are invalid.
Ooh, wow, ouch. Oh no.
Yeah, and so...
Surprise.
So I was aware of this because the call from Italy came in the day before. We were visited, a surprise visit, kind of like the IRS. We're here to help you with the government.
Oh,
right? We get a call from Milt the day before we get the surprise visit from the Bank of America.
Oh boy.
And Milt lays out his dilemma and says, I'm destitute. I mean, I don't have any money.
How do I get back from Italy?
Well, not only that, how do I feed my wife and child, right?
Oh,
I mean,
boy, yeah.
You know, the credit card's been canceled. The hotel was giving
Yeah.
us notice. We're on the street, literally. Anyhow.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, that Wednesday night, I went home, didn't, of course, mention to my dear wife, Sue, that the curtain was descending, you know. And I
just
had,
keep that for later, you know.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, the next day, Thursday, I call in. I'm on the trek to maybe sell my demonstrator, which I was driving, and I had the manufacturer's certificate of origin, which is like the bill papers. It's a precursor to getting a title, right? When a dealer gets a car, he gets an MSO. It's called an MSO, but it's a manufacturer's certificate of origin, which means it's the real paper behind the car. Then the state, when you sell it, it becomes registered. So anyway, so I had the paperwork with me in the car, and Ned, as I call in the office, he said, don't come in. So what?
George is so popular.
Pardon me.
I know. Well, while George answers his phone call, we're going to go ahead and take a break. But we are now into the deep curtain falling over International Motor Car Company, guys. So stay tuned.
I am so sorry.
No, it don't matter. That's cool.
Yeah.
Although we're going to have a short... April 24th. Did you put 27?
Huh?
Did you tell me 27?
Okay,
What?
this is the ad
Car
for
show.
the car show.
It's
They
the
said 24th.
It's the 24th, actually, so it's on your birthday, the car show. I thought it was
So
the 27th.
that's my
but it's
anniversary,
the 24th.
25th birthday. But we might just stay for that.
If you want to, it'd be pretty
Yeah,
nice.
that'd be kind of fun.
So the radio show is going to be going live from American Bank Center, and I would like to have all the judges be on the radio, if you would be okay
Sure,
with that.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I got 10 minutes this last minute.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks, Aiden. Should be cool.
Bagley didn't call.
I know. Well, I really wish I had.
I think called Caitlin last night at like 11.
I was already asleep.
And Bagley did call in last week.
Oh, did
or
he?
Text in.
Oh, he did text in. Oh, I wonder if I can find him.
But it doesn't matter because I think the story of the Apollo.
Chad, let me see your cell phone.
Yeah, we don't need that.
We don't.
Okay.
If not, because that's just going to take us.
I
I want to focus on like the
You're
Apollos.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're at the end of the story.
We can always have him call
and
again.
my phone ring. But we had to
I
take
just
a break
felt like-
anyway.
Yeah, we did. It was
Okay.
good timing.
Yes, we're-
I also like that. Well, my work emails keep blowing up too.
It
I
doesn't.
finally silenced my computer.
It doesn't matter, but yeah, we kind of should focus on the Apollo story. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you how you felt.
Yeah, well,
Like, what were those emotions? That kind of
well, I mean,
that's pretty
they were,
intense.
when the phone rang, I was getting a little emotional because, you know, when you really get back to that point in
What
time.
a moment.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
really, I mean,
I could just-
let me tell you.
I had some writ up
I can
questions, but
imagine.
I done left them at my house. So yeah, that, and I was gonna talk about what was I gonna talk about? I had some good questions.
I thought that was our music. But yeah, let me know because when you said I could pick my judges, you were one of the first. You were the first
Thank you.
to come up, so it should be nice. All right, music's back on, gentlemen. Hello, my friends. You are back listening to the Bad Blonde Radio Show, brought to you by News Talk KEYS. And I gotta tell you guys, we got some pretty exciting news going on here at 1440 Keys. And we have a car show that's gonna happen April the 24th.
Wow.
I know! I'm excited. It's gonna be big. It's both exhibition halls at the American Bank. And as we know from experience, that can fit at least 200 cars in there, right?
That's exactly correct. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Because we've done that before.
Plus 126 pedal cars.
And oh my God, that's so funny. You're right there. And like 30 to 40 motorcycles?
Yeah, exactly.
A lot.
Yeah, I mean, the building was packed full of cars, but it fits nicely. We had a crowd.
Yeah.
How many people do we have?
A lot.
5,000?
Yeah, George, I was busy drinking. I wasn't
Free,
counting.
too, right?
I was drinking for free. So I don't know.
Well, we have some time for that car show, but
I know.
we only have
Yeah, we'll talk about the car show, but I
about
wanted to
9 minutes
mention
for the
it.
Apollos.
Now let's get back to the story. Now, George, we were getting to a bit of an emotional time. We had just hit upon, I'm going to ask some deep questions, because I'm curious. It's got to be a big thing. You quit Ford Motor Company to start this, big dream of a sports car. Now, I'm going to let you take it from here.
So, anyway, I'm calling to check with Ned Davis prior to trying to sell the Apollo demonstrator, and he advises me quietly, sort of silently on the phone, he said, the Bank of America is here.
Oh, boy.
The guys in the suits.
Oh, my gosh.
I said, does that mean we're done?
Was that like a punch in the stomach?
Oh my gosh, yeah. He said, not only are we done, they're changing the locks on the door.
Oh, my God.
And we'll not be able to get back in the building.
So
I said, well,
Said, I'm not giving this demonstrator back.
I know, right?
no, I couldn't say anything. I mean, not that I was worried that they tapped the phone, but could have been.
You
No,
should, yeah.
but I said, okay, well, I'll take care of my business out here on the street.
I love
He
that.
said, that's probably a good idea. I immediately shifted into high gear, and this beautiful young
Yeah.
lady at Cal, I called her and we got together and got her dad on the phone, and he sent us a cashier's check.
For the car you were
For the
driving
car,
at that
yeah.
moment.
At that moment, exactly. It then became hers, and I was able to pound the check in those days, cash it for cash, right?
Nice.
So I had $7,200 in cash, of which we wired, I think probably 4,000 to Italy. You know, in those days it was Western Union, I think we sent the money,
Yeah.
you know, so that he had.
And that's because Milt Brown is stuck in Italy with his wife and
What?
has
Yeah.
canceled credit cards and no money.
10-year-old son,
Wild.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Anyways, And it's kind of funny that Milt didn't know exactly how all that happened until we got back. We we resurrected the whole Apollo deal later. When actually, I think when we started doing the preparation for the Concorde.
He didn't?
No, he did not know.
He just had $4,000 show up in his bank account, and he was like, okay.
No, he didn't know the story. He didn't know the flow of funds. The flow of funds never went through the bank or anything, right?
Yeah.
Western Union. I kept, as I recall, and I delivered the balance. I mean, I sent 4,000 to Italy via Western Union to Milt, and I dropped 3,000 maybe on Ned, and I kept 600.
George, I think you should have kept a little bit more than that.
Well, I don't know what I was thinking, but I was an honest kid, right?
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I gave Ned, and it was like sayonara. That was it. The end of story.
Really?
Game over. Right.
Wow.
Now,
That's so wild, George.
We knew this was coming.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, we just didn't.
Like, for how long did you feel like this? To see this on the.
Perhaps 60 days. We knew we were having trouble because we were running out of cars. I was running out of cars to deliver to dealers, which was our source of cash.
Yeah.
Was delivering finished automobiles. So the sad thing about the whole venture is that when the financing side of the business was so poorly operated.
Yeah.
I mean, Ned knew more than Milt and I knew about the disastrous condition we were in. The financing.
Do you think he saw that brick wall coming a long time way before you?
Yeah.
Oy.
Absolutely.
We got like 4 minutes.
With
probably left. So if you want to kind of.
So the bottom line is
a good closing of it.
We were able to get Milt and his family back from Italy. We were able to give some money to Ned so he could do whatever he wanted. And then I have to drive home. I have to get a cab actually to go home.
Because you just sold the car, out from under your rear end.
Yeah, exactly. and then advise Sue that we no longer had a job.
How did Sue take it?
No surprise.
She's like, I knew that was a gamble going in.
Yeah. So
wow.
I was successful in jumping back pretty quickly. I went back to Ford Motor Company in Oakland and met with my manager, and he said, "What do you want to do? We'll hire you back in a minute. Your experiences the last couple of years with the International
No kidding.
He said, we really didn't expect you to succeed."
Was that news to you? You're like, I thought this was going to go great.
Well, that was no shock.
So was that something that you still thought, like I can see if, going through that experience, this is something that I would still think about, like either month to month or year to year, of like that feeling of the ship drowned.
I mean, that's really an extraordinarily good question because, because now we're looking at 6 or 7?
Time flies when you're having fun.
Well, no, we had the 50th anniversary in 2013. So it's 8 years ago.
2013, yeah.
So it's 58 years ago, right? Well, that was when we started. Say it was 56 years ago. So I've had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the miracle is I'm still alive. I mean, that in itself is kind of wonderful. No, look, I closed the book on it.
You did?
Yeah, I was underwater financially. I mean, we by all rights, I could have filed bankruptcy and been a whole lot better off because I had my own personal Chevron card. I had my own personal Bank of America credit card. I had my own personal American Express card, all of which were maxed out.
Wow, yeah.
And I didn't have, I had $700 or $600 or something. So, no, Ford was kind enough to put me into a Lincoln Mercury dealership in south of San Francisco as the Lincoln Continental sales manager.
And how fast did that happen? In between international?
1 week.
Well, I would say you hit the ground running, George.
Here, let me tell you the punchline of disaster when the wheels are falling off your wagon, you got to move quick, right?
Yeah.
So my best friend who lived in San Francisco went to grade school with me in high school back in Illinois. He rented a truck from U-Haul and brought it to Oakland. We loaded our house up at midnight.
Wow.
And moved to Belmont, California, across the bay.
I love that.
And
Hit the ground running.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. Holy
Music's
smokes.
on, I think. But this
Music's
was an awesome story of
I
the
know.
Apollo. And
I know.
Thank
we
you.
could keep it going on too.
If you hadn't afforded that cash to Milt, he could still be in Italy.
What a great story.
I know. Thank you so much,
having
George.
Thank
Guys, that is it. We've covered the history of the Apollo motor car. Good job. Good work. Boom.
Yeah, that is such a cool story.
I know. You're a better man than me because I would probably think about it pretty frequently. I'd probably think about that like.
Well, I was thinking but what you could do different, but
Gotta move
you
on.
weren't in charge of their business area, only sales
No.
so much, so you couldn't.
You know what I wish I had asked? How old you were? What was your age
24.
at that time? Dang! When it all fell under.
No, I was 26 when it fell under.
So, and you got with it 24.
2 years later.
That's
Yeah.
crazy, George. What a good experience. Well, I mean, cool experience.
Well, it's
It's-
look, you can't. You got to be realistic because, like you say, I mean, you're glamorizing this whole
Yeah.
issue, right?
Yeah.
But the reality was, what the problem with International Motor Cars was not the sales guy, and it wasn't
No.
Milt Brown. We manufactured
Yeah.
a beautifully well-built car, right?
100%.
You've driven them.
Yeah.
You've helped restore one. The bottom line is, Ned was the problem.
Yeah. And y'all, I guess you couldn't.
How
really
the
get rid of
hell
them.
we tried.
Yeah.
Milt and I had an angel who was the guy that owned the blue Spider that I loved so much, Dr. Hayden Gordon.
He's a
who was-
nuclear scientist or something?
He
Or?
was the head of it's known as the Livermore Radiation Lab in the hills of Berkeley,
Wow.
part of the University of California scientific community. And he was the head nuclear, he's the guy that put together the hydrogen bomb, his team.
Dang.
And they were very well paid guys.
I can imagine.
Bunch
Wow.
of Germans too.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
Well, Hayden was the
Yeah.
American brains behind the whole deal.
Mhm.
But he laid the credit off to the Germans because they were way advanced.
We stole them.
Well, so did the Russians.
Yeah, no, that's why we
Yeah,
both.
Yeah, exactly. We both rockets. Sputnik
Somebody's
went into space before we did. You remember the
Yeah.
Russian rocket?
Yeah.
Yuri Gagarin, and there's this.
I always thought it's really
Surprise.
interesting if you look at the first fighter jet we had, which was it was the opposite of the MiG. They were the exact same planes. They were the center, one engine right in the middle of the plane. What was ours? A Mustang? I can't remember what
I
it was
don't
called.
remember. Yeah, I
But they were we had ours, and Russia had their MiG, whatever. It was the exact same damn plane.
Okay, but you remember who had the first jet aircraft?
The Germans.
Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying is
Oh, I
we
didn't know
stole
that.
we stole their scientists,
Yeah.
and that's why both of our planes look the exact same. It was pretty interesting.
Well, now, I told you the story. That I happened to spend the night in Bucharest, in Sofia, Bulgaria. No. Where the hell was I? Back up. Hungary.
Cool.
I was in Laszlo Fono's house. He was the deputy minister of agriculture of, God damn it. Isn't that terrible?
No,
Well,
it's
one of
actually
the
really
no,
impressive.
one-
You've already said his
Yeah.
name.
Well, I mean, okay, not Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Remember, you guys don't, but historically there was a Hungarian Revolution in the 50s where they had an uprising against the Soviet Union, they were behind the Iron Curtain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I fly into Hungary and picked up at the airport by Mr. Fono and his driver, right? Because he's a high-ranking government official. And we're going to his home, and he said, I want to tell you that when we get to my home, George, do not be dismayed. There is a giant Russian tank in my front yard.
What?
Fully equipped, ready to fire, looking down at Hungary. What's the capital of Hungary?
Budapest.
Budapest. Yeah, beautiful town. You been there?
No.
God.
Not yet. We'll
Staggering.
have it on the, yeah.
Wonderful. Danube River down below. Anyway, we're up in this hill looking down. The Soviet tank is sitting there. I mean, shit.
Did he have that there for giggles, or what was it?
No,
Shit, no, they
For
just-
actual defense?
The Russians come in to suppress the revolution.
Yeah,
The Hungarians wanted out
yeah.
of the Soviet bloc. Failed, of course. So we're in his home, and he introduces me to his brother, who's
Uh-huh.
another PhD, who actually has the patent on, you ready? The jet engine.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yes. That
Cool.
the Germans got, right?
Uh-huh.
That's how that whole son of a bitch got together. And
Wow.
Dr. Fono went to Britain to sell it to the M16 guys, you know, the CIA of England, and they blew it off. So he went to Munich or wherever Adolf was and sold it to the Germans.
They were
Incredible.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
I know. Well, the human brain's an asset.
But you said,
know?
you know, how stupid it, or how at age 24 would you walk away from a great career with Fords, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, it sounds
Well,
exciting. You should. I'm happy you did it.
Well, I am too, but you know,
Yeah.
interesting. You know, I was pretty nutty to go to. My father had all this business stuff in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
In what is known as the iron.
You're
the
not
iron
scared of an
country.
adventure, George.
No, I
You're
was
still not.
I was excited. Because
Yeah.
I wasn't married, of course, on that run, and I said, hell yeah, I'll go. You know, go to Russia, do this, go to
During a rip.
Romania. I lived in Romania for 6 months. You know, like
That's
shit.
super cool.
I mean, I was in college, but I was so messed up, you know, drinking, everything else, that my college career was sort of auguring into the drain. So I thought, I'll get out of town. Anyway,
I mean, that's an adventure.
yeah, but I mean,
Very cool.
you know, I think it's remarkable that a Hungarian
Yeah.
was the guy that conceived of the jet engine.
Yeah.
So
Super
there you have
trippy.
it. All right,
Okay.
so you
Well,
got the 24th of April.
Yeah. Let me know.
Send me,
if you'd like.
let me
You're gonna-
just broach something with Phyllis so that,
Yeah.
you know, because this is a big deal. It's our anniversary and birthday. And I mean, God, what a great,
We can
that-
get her a
we
free
haven't-
ticket to the car show.
you know, like we could have, aren't you glad we didn't take her with us to,
I get.
to California, I mean, to Pebble Beach?
She
and all
probably would have. Oh wait,
I know.
this is on. I'm gonna
Yeah,
turn this off.
that? Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't
We'll
think
edit that part out.
she's not a car person.
Yeah.